welcome back to my channel. My name is Sophie. Welcome back, or welcome if you're new here. And if you are, don't forget, if you enjoy this video, give me a little subscribe and this video a like. Stick around, join the community. We just love all things book, vlogging, all the good things. So yeah, happy April. I cannot believe it's April already. Summer is fast approaching. But yes, I thought in this video I would talk about all the books that I read throughout March. I had a really good reading month and I read 10 books in total, which is like crazy to me. Last month I read 5, I think it was. So to go on and read double the amount this month is so good, and I'm just really enjoying it, to be honest. So with these 10 books, I read a total of 4,302 pages. Wow. And of those books, 2 were young adult fictions, 1 was a romantasy, 4 were adult romances, 1 was a historical fiction, and 2 were sci-fi fantasy. And yes, and on average, the ratings that I gave the books overall were 4.3. So this ranged from like a 3-star all the way to a couple of 5 stars this month. So overall, really good reading month, to be honest. And I enjoyed every second of it. Okay, so let's get straight into it. The first book that I read in March was If Only I Had Told Her by Nora Nolan. So this is the sequel to If He Had Been With Me, and I loved that book. So emotional. If you've read it, you know. If not, I'm not going to tell you, but go pick up the book and prepare for a little bit of pain. So this book was a little bit disappointing, to be honest. I was expecting it to be in Finney's point of view from the first book. However, we only had him right at the start, which just like really bugged me, because I feel like a lot of people were anticipating this book just because they wanted to hear everything from his point of view from the previous story. So it was quite, I finished it, I read it, but it was kind of just to finish it because I wanted to see like what was going to happen, but I wasn't really that invested by the end. I was just a little bit bored, and some of the POVs were nice. However, I didn't feel like we needed it. It was just a little bit random to me. But overall, it was a really fast-paced read. I do recommend, because some people might like it, some people might not, and everyone's opinion is their own. So do not take what I say for Bible, but this is just how I thought about the book. And I just think because I went straight into this one from the first book, it was very like, oh, samey. So I probably should have split it up a little bit. I liked the first one so much that I wanted to go straight into it. So yeah, for If Only I Had Told Her, I gave a 3-star, which is probably a little bit nice, but on Goodreads you can't do 0.5, so it was a 3-star. And the second book of the month I read was Bride by Ali Hazelwood. So this is, I think, one of her first kind of fantasy romances that she has delved into, and honestly I really loved it. I'm a big Twilight girly growing up, Team Edward. And yeah, it's basically, so we've got a vampire and a werewolf, and the story starts where they have to get married to form an alliance, because you've got the humans, the vampires and the werewolves, and in this huge city, and they're all kind of like at war with each other, but they're not, because they have alliances that keep people in line and prevent people from acting out and causing issues. He marries the alpha of the wolf pack, and yes, I like him a lot, to be honest. There is certain scenes in this which are slightly weird, and yeah, it's definitely out there and unrealistic, but I think that's what I liked about it. I really got taken away from my life, my world, and into the story, and I grew attached to the characters, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm really looking forward, and hopefully Ella Hazelwood brings out some more. And I also need to read her normal romances, because I haven't done that. This is my first book that I read of hers. So yes, definitely want to get into more of her writing, because it's very fast-paced, very easy to read, and just enjoyable, to be honest. So yeah, for Bride, I ended up giving it a 4 stars, very solid. Not 5-star for me, but definitely up there with what I would recommend to other people. The third book of March, one of my favourites of the month, maybe one of my favourites of all time. I don't know if you know it's coming, but Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. Wow. After finishing this book, I had to almost sit in my feelings and process what was happening. I love it so much. I haven't picked up the other books yet because I want to hold on to this feeling and make this series drag out as much as possible. And I also want the original covers, because I much prefer them to these ones. Although this is cute, the original ones are just really nice, just classy, and it really suits the vibe of the Magnolia Parks universe. So yeah, as I said, this is the first book in the Magnolia Parks universe, and we're following, it's more of like a character development story, as if you're watching, say, like Gossip Girl or Made in Chelsea, like that kind of thing. You're kind of just seeing what they're doing throughout their day-to-day lives. And this follows Magnolia and BJ, who have dated before, and we find out why they split up a little bit kind of into the book. So I'm not going to spoil anything. I want you guys to go and pick this up if you haven't, but I'm sure a lot of you have already read this. But yeah, I got so attached to these characters. The writing style, like I'm a big Gossip Girl fan. I've probably seen it like 5-6 times all the way through. So the way that this was laid out, it's about like a rich society, young kids in London, and it's just their day-to-day lives, what they get up to, all the dramas, so much drama, love triangles, all these good things. And yes, this was a 5-star read, 100%. I could probably give it 10 stars if that was on the rating list. And this inspired me to want to start annotating, so I have ordered some annotating stuff and a little highlighter, because moments that bring me so much pain and love, I just want to like remember and go back and flip through if I ever need to. So yes, this was Magnolia Parks. Mwah! Love it so much. Cannot wait to read the next book soon. Although I'm a bit nervous because obviously the second book is about Daisy Hates, and I'm kind of worried that I won't gel as well to them, because I feel like I've seen a lot of people either love Magnolia's story or they prefer Daisy's. So we will see when I get to it, but I'm very excited. And on to the fourth book that I read in March. It was Heartless by Elsie Silver. So this is the second book in the Chestnut Springs series. I loved Flawless, really enjoyed it, so couldn't wait to pick this one up. And this story follows, it's in the same small town, and this story follows Cade, who is Rhett's brother from the first book, and Willa, who is the best friend of Summer from the first book. And the trope in this is like single dad, older, and she's like the life of the party, like doesn't want to settle down, blah 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 blah. And it's not my favourite trope, to be honest. But to be fair, the little boy, Luke, I think his name is, he was so adorable and cute and really added to the story. Whereas I find a lot of times, sometimes kids can kind of not do much. They're kind of just in the way and annoying. But I did enjoy this. Honestly, everything Elsie Silver writes, although I can't really say that I've only read Chestnut Springs series, but so far I've enjoyed every one of her books, and they're not like a star, like beautiful read. It's just very funny and witty, and the characters are just simple and easy to understand. You haven't got to think. It's the perfect filler, or I would honestly recommend these if you're on vacation or on holiday, just to get into the love mood, the country mood, and go to Chestnut Springs and enjoy your time there. So I ended up giving this book a 3-star. It was like okay, but obviously the trope I didn't really connect to, and it's not my favourites. But overall, I'd probably say the series is like a total 5-star, but this book in particular I gave a 3. And now we're halfway through our little wrap up. The 5th book that I read in March was Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zavin. So this book follows the story of Sadie and Sam, and they basically met when they were a lot younger, had a passion for video games, and something happens and they lose contact. And later, many years later, I think they're in university in the States, so in college, and they bump into each other and they're both still loving video games, and they decide that they want to create a game together because Sadie is studying video engineering or something like that. And yeah, so it kind of follows a back and forth between memories and kind of what they're going through now. All I can say is with this book, it felt very long to me. I know a lot of people love it, have given it 5 stars. However, I don't think that I connected with the characters enough. And I felt like the story was really dragging, like not much was happening, which I understand is what the book is about. It's almost just following them and their journeys into adulthood and their character growth. However, because there was that lack of love from me to the characters, I feel like it was lacking when I was reading it and I didn't really get into it. However, I do recommend picking it up because I think some people will really like it. I just didn't love it that much, so I ended up giving this book a 3 stars. And moving on to Powerless by Elsie Silver. This was the 6th book that I read in the month of March. So back again, we're in Chestnut Springs, and this time we are following Jasper, Sloane, and they are childhood best friends, grew up on the ranch together. So Jasper is almost like someone that was brought into the family because he kind of had a little bit of a rough upbringing, and Sloane is the cousin of the boys on the ranch. So it follows them. She's originally engaged at the start of the book, and you kind of see the story progress and how things turn out. I don't want to spoil anything because I really enjoyed this. Once again, a super fast-paced read by Elsie Silver, and Chestnut Springs, just the perfect little universe to delve into and take your mind out of the real world. So this one I ended up giving a 4 stars. 7th book that I read in March, we've got The Storyteller of Auschwitz by Sian Kerham. Hopefully I didn't just butcher that name. But yes, this was a historical fiction set in the time, obviously, of World War II. And we follow a Jew who is also a writer at the time, and eventually, obviously, gets taken to a concentration camp, Auschwitz. And we see what she went through, the people she met, and how she kind of kept morale up on camp by telling her stories. And it was so beautiful. Obviously a hard read considering everything that happened during that time and during the war, and it really opens your eyes to see what people went through. I'm not sure how historically accurate the story is, but I can imagine that's like exactly what went on at certain places and times. And if you're into historical stories, especially this kind of time, then definitely pick this up. I gave this a 5 stars. I read this in one sitting and the tears were real. Like, it was beautiful and sad, like, at the same time, if that's even possible, to be honest. But yes, very solid 5 stars for me. I then read Reckless by Elsie Silver. So this is the 4th book in the Chestnut Springs series. Now, obviously I was in my Chestnut Springs era in the month of March. This is my favourite so far of the series. This is the story that follows Theo, who is Rhett's like bull rider apprentice. He is Brazilian, which I didn't realise until the end, and my boyfriend's Brazilian, so 2 and 2 together. No wonder I liked him so much and his character. The female lead is Winter, who is Summer's sister that we meet in the 1st book, and she kind of crops up throughout the other books as well. And originally we obviously have this idea that she's like this like almost like evil stepsister kind of vibe, and not many people like her because of how she treated Summer growing up. However, there is a lot of character story that we delve into, and it develops and we understand why these people act the way that they do, and that's what I really love about it. Their story and what Winter has been through and how she's been treated, like, I really just resonated with it, and it really touched my heart. And Theo, the perfect golden retriever boy that you need in your life. He's like witty, funny, sarcastic, a little bit like on the cheeky side, and that's what we love in a small town romance male lead. This was definitely a 5 star for me, the best one so far. Definitely recommend getting through the series and also reading them in order, because you see little cameos in each one and it's really nice to read. Otherwise you'd probably be confused about people that just pop up randomly. But yes, read in order, pick them all up, and 5 star for me. And the 9th book that I read in March, we've got Red Rising by P.S. Brown. So I've been seeing this for a while. I actually asked for this as my Secret Santa present and I got it, woohoo! So this is back in December that I got it, and it's been on my bookshelf because honestly I've been scared to read it because I've seen that it's a complex world that you have to focus on and get into. And this book was lacking a little bit for me. I ended up giving it a 3 stars. It was very hard for me to get through, just because there was so much going on, so much new words and complex characters, and but I did know that I loved the underlying plot and where the story was going, so I stuck through it and managed to finish. However, I was almost like, if I wasn't 100% paying attention, I'd be like, what is going on? Like, you could miss like 2 lines and it's like, I have no idea where we are in the story. So it's definitely something that you have to sit down and understand and take your time with, rather than getting through it quickly. So yes, a 3 star for Red Rising. And then this leads us on to the last book that I read in March. We've got Golden Sun by P.S. Brown, which is the 2nd book in the Red Rising series. And I'm so glad that I stuck out with Red Rising. Like, I did enjoy the story. I grew attached to a few of the characters, although there's so many, it's quite hard to keep track. And this took us on to the Golden Sun. So obviously everything that our main character Darrow has been through in Red Rising, we know. I'm not going to spoil anything because I think one of these books is better to kind of delve into and go in blind. So this follows the story on. So much drama happens, so much politics and a little bit of romance sprinkled in this one as well, which I think is what caught my attention. But yes, loads of plot twists. I was jaw-dropping towards the end because so much was happening, but it was a really nice book to read at the end of March, and honestly I'm really excited to pick up the rest of the series. One thing with these I recommend is kind of reading them back to back, because I feel like you may especially after Red Rising, please go straight into this because it's fresh in your mind, and I think if you leave it a week or two, you're probably going to forget what just happened. So yes, great book to end the month on, and I gave this a 4-star. So that was all the books that I read in March, and I'll be finishing this video up here. So thank you so much for watching, and if you've read any of these, let me know in the comments what you thought, and if you haven't, please pick them up. They were also good and a really good reading month for me. So I hope you all had a lovely Easter weekend, and I'll see you in the next one.